Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Pauper Ponderings. As always, my name is Austin. This is brought to you by the Mana Base, and we are here to play a sweet, sweet Pauper brew. But before we get started, I do have to have a couple shoutouts here. Number one, I'm going to shout out to Iffy, who just became a patron. If you want to check out my patron, it'll be in the description below, as well as Eric Olson. Both of you guys are new patrons, so thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, the Patreon is in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Thank you to those two guys, Eric Olson and Iffy, for pledging. I do really appreciate it. Still getting the t-shirts and everything worked out, so everything should be good to go here in a little bit. All the logistics, it kind of was a rush on me at last second. But yeah, a lot of stuff on my plate, but it is coming. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about you guys. You guys are awesome, and you guys watching are awesome. Thanks again. This week we are playing Aether Artifact Amigos, AAA. Obviously, I forgot who sent the deck in, because that's just par for the course at this point here at Pauper Ponderings. But this is a deck that I really, really like to play, and that is the artifact-based Galvanic Blast deck in Pauper. I haven't played one in a while. There's a couple decks that were kind of similar to it. This one kind of goes back to that, using a couple new cards from Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, and I'm pretty excited to get going with this deck. Now, this is very similar to the Glazed Fiend deck that I played back in January, but we're playing white. Now, what does white give us? It gives us this card, Rally the Peasants. It's 2 and a white for an instant, and creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, has flashback for 2 and a red. It's a very, very powerful spell. You see it in Dredge and Modern sometimes. But again, with a deck like this, where we're creating Servos and Murs with Origin Spellbomb, and Cogworker's Puzzle Knot, and Aether Chaser, the fact that we have Rally the Peasants in our deck really makes this a potent kind of late game deck, because you're able to go around your opponent very, very easily. So if we're going to get right into the meat of it, our creatures are 4 Thraben Inspectors, just a good card in general. Going to trigger all of our artifact cards, going to be good in the late game, good in the early game. This is just a great, great card for Pauper. And if you're familiar with the Pauper format, that is no surprise to you. We have 2 Countless Gears Renegade. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 with Revolt, and you put a 1/1 into play if you trigger Revolt. So with all the Revolt enablers in this deck, very, very easy to trigger. This is more often than not 1 and a white for a 2/2 and a 1/1, so a pretty good rate, especially in the Pauper format. We then have the 3 Aether Chasers, 1 red for a 2/1 first strike, and when it comes into play you get 2 energy, and when it attacks you essentially spend the 2 energy and make a 1/1, so very similar to Countless Gears Rebel, just it's a turn late, but you don't need to trigger Revolt. This guy also has First Strike, which is pretty relevant a lot of the time. Then we have 4 Reckless Fireweaver, kind of the core of the deck. 1 and a red for a 1/3. Whenever an artifact comes into play, your opponents take a damage. This guy's been the centerpiece of a couple Pauper Ponderings decks. He's just very, very good when you get to play a bunch of these nonsense small artifacts that sack for value. The fact that you have a way, or kind of a payoff to that, is huge. 3 toughness is also quite big. There are a lot of 2/2s in the format, and he blocks them fairly well. Then we have 4 Salivating Gremlins. This is kind of the big finisher of the deck. It's 2 and a red for a 2/3, and then whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +2/+0 and trample till end of turn. When you mix that with 4 Great Furnace, 4 Ancient Den, the Origin Spellbombs, the Renegade Maps, the Cogworker's Puzzle Knots, as well as the Aether Chaser, the Thraben Inspector, and the Countless Gears Rebel, as well as the 1 random Expose Evil. This guy gets very big, very fast. He has Trample, so he's going to deal a lot of damage, and he does a very good job of dealing the last, 6, 7, 8 points of damage, and can really kill somebody out of nowhere if they're not expecting it. We have 1 Sanctum Gargoyle for any sort of long matchups. We're going to be able to bring back any of these kind of random utility artifacts. If we can go over those now, we have 1 Bone Splitter just as a good card. I really like this card in the format. Being able to turn all your servos into legitimate threats is huge. We have 4 Origin Spellbombs. Just a good card, very similar to Cogworker's Puzzle Knot. It's going to do what we want. We want Artifact enters the battlefield, and we want Artifact leaving the battlefield triggers for all of our creatures. This kind of fills both that role as well, also cycling. We have 3 Renegade Maps. It allows us to cut on our lands while also triggering both our Artifact ETB and Revolt triggers. And we have 4 Cardworks Puzzle Knot, very similar card to Origin Spellbomb, just you get an extra servo or an extra token rather than the extra card. So again, very tight list. We play 4 Galvanic Blasts, 3 Journey to Nowheres, and the 1 Expose Evil as kind of a, I guess this is kind of a nifty card. You're able to block or swing a race, make some artifacts, draw a card. It's just a decent card in general. I'm a little skeptical about it, but I can definitely see where it could have its merits. Mana base, like I said, 4 Ancient Den, 4 Great Furnace, 1 Forgotten Cave, 1 Secluded Steppe. I like these lands in this deck. You don't need a lot of mana with this deck, but you sometimes, you know, need to get to 3 or 4, so they're going to allow you to do that. But if you flood out, they kind of work in your favor in terms of, I guess, just finding you gas. We have 2 Windscarred Crags, get the dual lands in there, and then we have the 3 plains, 3 mountains to round everything off. So yeah, pretty tight list overall, pretty aggressive, has a lot of ways to go late with the Reckless Fireweavers and the Salivating Gremlins. If we move over to our sideboard here, we have, as per usual, 3 Electrickeries, because if you're playing red, you shouldn't be leaving home without this card. 2 Fragmentize, just a really efficient removal spell for artifacts and enchantments. 1 Journey to Nowhere, in case we go up against any sort of Ulamog's Crusher. We have a Mana Tithe, just to get them, because I love getting them. There's a Pauper Ponderings a couple weeks ago where I had one of these in my Green-White Soldiers deck, and go back and watch it. I was able to get somebody pretty good with this Mana Tithe. 2 Relic of Progenitus, because I think that Graveyard Hate is very underrepresented in the format, so I'm pretty in to see that. We have a Sylvok Lifestaff for the burn matchup, and 2 Sundering Growths, because not only do they kill artifacts and enchantments, but they combo with our Servo and Mirror Generation. So I'm pretty excited about this deck. Again, we are playing for 3 packs of Modern Masters. For every win that we do get, we will get to open 1 of these packs on stream. Today we have a Domri Raid and 2 Grizzlebrand. Big Grizz always knows what's up. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get going here, guys, and I will see you back for round number 1. Again, this is Pauper Ponderings. My name is Austin, and you can check us out online, www.themanabase.com. Make sure you check out my Patreon just down below in the description. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. We got some new guys coming on very soon. I am very excited to announce them. I cannot spoil anything right now, but we do have some guys coming on that I'm very excited about. That'll be in the coming weeks. But for now, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the great news here about the Mana Base. Make sure you check us out online, www.themanabase.com. I will see you guys back here for round number 1 with Aether Artifact Amigos. Triple A. See you guys in a little bit.